The Heroes and the Hidden by Kitty Quat on AO3. Episode 46. Chapter 41. Do you think we'll make the papers? Izuku scratched at his arm as he watched Tenki play with Ida and Mei. Todoroki hadn't been able to come, his dad pushing work onto him. He was one of the reasons that Izuku didn't like the current system. If he had managed to rise to number 2, just what else was happening? Both the number 1 and 2 heroes were awful people, no better than the villains. He yawned, rubbing at his eyes, as he leaned against Hitoshi. Nightmares? He asked, quietly. He nodded, shutting his eyes, not saying a word. That had been getting worse recently. He fell asleep almost instantly most nights. But it was all in vain. The monster haunted his thoughts, and taunted him. It called him weak and sick. It showed him images of his new friends hanging limp, or screaming at him to stop. The worst was when it made it seem like Izuku was doing these things, showing it from the monster's point of view as Izuku slashed open Hitoshi's throat, chewed Ida's leg, or squashed Dinky's head. Sometimes it was even his guardians, severed limbs and lost eyes. But nothing could compare to the taunts about Tomura and Kuroguri. He relived every pain they had inflicted. The itching pins of sensation of decay, the sharp hit and hatter of his knees, the drugs that they shoved down his throat, made him gag and puke. It all felt real. Too real. The pain was more vivid than when it had actually happened. Images distorted by haze in a way he did not remember. Wouldn't it be easier to just give in? The monster would ask, night after night, its voice echoing through Izuku's thoughts as he bolted upright, tracking his nails down his scars. He didn't hit the nightmare button after the last time Midnight had helped him. He had made her tired and interrupted her and all his friends. He wouldn't do that to them. He could be strong without their help. He didn't need to drag them down. Didn't need them to know what was happening in his mind. Put on a smile, and it would all go away. He groaned, nuzzling into Hitoshi's shoulder more. Hitoshi patted him on the head, kindly, humming. Izuku could see the scene, when the monster had first appeared as his friend hummed, the memories burning bright in his mind's eye. Hitoshi had looked so scared. He had looked scared because of Izuku, because of the monster. His hands had shook as he touched the fur that covered Izuku's. No, the monster's body. His breath had hitched as bruises and bloody dots his body from the bullets. The monster, Izuku, could have killed him right then. He had wanted to, and in his memory, he did. He bit down on Hitoshi's upper half, cutting the screaming off. He had chewed on the soft flesh, swallowing his best friend. A smile crept into Izuku's mind, fangs dripping red. Izuku grasped, sitting up and rubbing at his throat. He spits, trying to clear the taste of blood from his mouth. Hitoshi grabbed Izuku's shoulders, keeping him from falling off the couch, holding him tight. "You're okay, Izuku," he said slowly, trying to get Izuku to breathe. Izuku nodded, leaning into his touch, as he spat again. He couldn't get the taste out. "Are you scared of me, Hitoshi?" he asked. Suddenly, Hitoshi stiffening. "Do you mean what happened a year ago?" he asked, shivering slightly in the October wind. Izuku nodded, hesitantly, scared to hear his answer. "No," he says bluntly, making Izuku stare at him in shock. Izuku stutters out a question in shock. What do you mean? Hitoshi frowns at him, shaking his head. I'm not scared of you. That wasn't you. He says so straightforwardly that Izuku wants to believe him. Almost does believe him. Izuku pulls away from his steady grip, shaking his head. What if it is me, Hitoshi? He asks, grabbing his own shoulders. Hitoshi shakes his head, more confidently this time. No, my Izuku isn't one who kills those Quirkless people. Izuku frowns at the memory of watching the video on the couch. My Izuku is the one who saves me from my bullies and who helped a little girl being attacked. Izuku tilts his head in confusion. They were the same thing, though. He says softly, watching to make sure the adults aren't listening. He can't have them know anything. Hitoshi gives a shit-eating grin, shaking his head. No, my Izuku is the one who protects others. Izuku smiles back, grabbing Hitoshi's hand and leaning against him again. He wasn't afraid of Izuku. He was afraid of the monster, and he saw them as two different people. So, they must have been Izuku and the monster. Izuku, monster. They were separate. He messes with Hitoshi's hands, rubbing at the black nail polish on his nails. Thank you, he says softly as an explosion rocks through the playground. Dust and pieces go flying through the air. The Pro Heroes kids scream in terror. Izuku watches in horror as Tomura emerges from the dust, grinning behind the hand on his face. Oh my pet, he sings as he stares at Izuku. Kurogiri trails behind him, simply watching, his eyes piercing Izuku like a hawk on the lookout for prey. Izuku stares as Eraserhead leaps up from his seat, shooting his capture weapon out for Hitoshi and Izuku, who sat too far away from him to just grab. Izuku doesn't even think about it. He shoves Hitoshi into the weapon, letting Eraserhead pull him back to safety, and Tomura raises 5 fingers to his face. He can hear Hitoshi scream. But he's safe. Izuku knows he's safe. He is something Tomura desires. He will not be killed today. Shouta activates his quirk when he holds Hitoshi back. Pressed to his chest, the man, that Izuku called Tomura, turns to look at him, a wicked grin behind the human hands that cover him. You're so cool, Eraserhead, he says, touching all his fingers to Izuku's small face. Izuku doesn't flinch. He doesn't move or try to escape. He simply looks up, his hands clenching into little fists at his sides as Tomura moves his hand down to Izuku's neck and presses. He still has all 5 fingers on his skin. The heroes shoot into action around him as he fights to restrain Hitoshi, who tries to run for Izuku, while also trying to keep his gaze focused on both villains. Hitoshi claws at the scarf, trying to get free, as Shouta holds his arms out for the other 3 kids to join them. They push up against him as they watch their parents fight. Elytra tries to shoot out a bolt of energy at the hand villain, careful to not hit Izuku, who finally moves, ripping at Toya's hand as he tries to get air. The Mistman steps forward and lets the bolt hit his metal neck brace before grabbing Elytra's hand and putting a knife from somewhere in the mist. He stabs it into the hero's chest, pushing a button on the back of it. Elytra seizes up and drops to the floor as Dinky screams. Static jumps over his body as he watches his mom shiver on the floor. Tensei redirects his flying kick from Tomura to the man Izuku called Kurogiri. The man grunts as it connects with his neck brace before regaining his footing and dunking under another kick. He grabs Tensei's legs, throwing him to the floor as Snipe releases a bullet from his gun. The bullet seems to pass through the man's vague miss, and hits Tensei in the calf as he screams out in pain. Being tossed to the floor, Ida yells something about rules, how activating his engines to try to pull out Shouta's weapon. He goes to get up again before Kirigiri holds up his own gun, from deep in the mist, and shoots it. Tensei goes limp as the bullet hits his chest. Snipe aims the fire again, trying to hit the man who holds Izuku, now limp, against him. The man grabs Izuku roughly, flipping around as the gun fires. It hits Izuku directly in his shoulder, where Tomura had been there just seconds before. Shouta can't watch this anymore. Can't be on child watch as his child gets taken. The villains walk away as if they don't have a care in the world. Izuku is carried by the hand one, blood pouring down his shoulder, as he hangs limply. Shouta lets go of the kids, darting forward to save Izuku. He swings his capture weapon out, wrapping it around Kirigiri's neck, as his eyes start to water. He needs to blink, but he can't. He can't let anything happen. The Mist Man turns to look at him, and he pulls his weapon back, sending him to the floor. Tomura simply turns in annoyance before grinning as tears fill Aizawa's eyes. He needs to blink. The handman steps forward as Shouta pulls out a knife, flipping his capture weapon to try to grab his kid instead. Can't save your kid. Just like you couldn't save your friend. Tomura says, a wide grin across his crusty lips. Shouta stumbles forward at the taunt, blinking for just a second. They're gone. That blink was all they needed to disappear. Warping away in the man's portals, all that's left in the chilled air is injured heroes and screaming children. Shouta stares in shock, grabbing his limp capture weapon. He let him get taken again. He failed again. Mother. No. I actually found myself lured to a sense of security. I genuinely thought everything would be okay. I actually let myself get played. And every time I thought, oh, this is too good to be true, this is too good for be true, and then I was like, oh no, okay, alright, and I was lulled into a sense of security. A false sense of security. Fucking Christ. Chapter 42 is called, I Think It's Time We Get Away, and I really hope it's Izuku escapes, and everything is happily ever after, because if I get another angsty shit, I'm going to shoot myself. I'm not. I am, however, going to sob profusely and cry myself to sleep. Because I said so. Because I can. Because you can't stop me. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.